Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to be going over a tutorial on how to set up usage-based billing. We're actually going to do this for OpenAI. And if we go to the OpenAI pricing page, we see that they have 4 different packages or prices for GPT models, ranging from the cheapest but fastest and the most powerful and a bit more expensive per token. So a token is just a proxy for a number of words, and that will be the event that we are aggregating today. So we've set up some sample data for GPT or OpenAI in our warehouse, and we're going to show you how we can build a quick model and sync that over to Netsuite to generate an invoice and charge our customers. So if we go here, we can add a model. We want Snowflake as our data source, and then we want to write some SQL. So I already have the SQL query completed, and just to go over some pieces of it, I will show you a quick event log of what we're collecting. And here we have a few fields. One is the customer ID. And so this is actually the ID of our customer in NetSuite. And you can use either some internal system ID or a NetSuite ID, but at some point we need to map it back to our invoicing system. We then have a timestamp, which is when this event was collected or recorded, or when the customer hit our API endpoint. We also have an event type. And so this has to do with our pricing and what pricing plan this will fall under. So this is for language models, because OpenAI offers a wide range of products. So we want to specify that this is a language model product. And then under language models, we have a few other parameters or properties that we are collecting. One is the token count. And so this is the number of tokens per query that our customer is sending us, as well as the model type that they used. So we can delete that. And here's our completed query. The first part of this query just aggregates these tokens by customer type and model type on a monthly basis. It's a pretty simple sum over these token counts for each property. And once we have this aggregated table, we then want to join it on some billing information that we need for NetSuite. So we have this other table we created and are piping into Snowflake called GPT billing info. And this just contains basic billing info ranging from the description of this product. So, this is the ADA language model, as well as the rate and the associated NetSuite item ID. So you can find that by going into your NetSuite instance and looking up what the item ID is for this model type ADA. And from there, we want to join that on our aggregate usage table that we just went over on the model type. And so combining this all together, we will run this query. And we generate one line item. So our customer ID, as we mentioned, this will be how we map to NetSuite. We have this GPT demo invoice, as well as the transaction ID. Now this is something we use internally within Hightouch. So every time you run this query, we will diff your previous query to see if this row has changed at all. That way we're not creating invoices every time we run a sync, but only when anything has changed. And then this items is actually like what's going to be what we're billing our customer for. So we have our quantity of tokens used as well as the rate for each token. And that will be, you'll see at the end where that shows up on the invoice. So we can just call this GPT demo billing. There you go. We'll call this 2 because I already created one. The primary key is going to be that ID, and we don't want to move it to a folder for now. So we can publish this, and here's our query. Then what we'd want to do is go and create a sync, add a sync, and we want to search the model. And so we just created this model, GPT demo billing 2. And then we want to search the destination. So this is NetSuite. Now I've already configured this here. For the sake of time, I won't go through everything. But we have our invoice, which is the item that we want to sync to. So we can create invoices in NetSuite. And then we want to insert any new records. There's a few fields that we want to go over here. So this items we saw before. These are the ADA and the DaVinci language models. The customer ID is who is actually going to receive this bill. And so generally you'll have a lot more parameters set up, or like info set up within NetSuite, including who is actually going to get the bill, like what email address is it sent to, how are we collecting payments, when is this due. The memo is just some description about what this invoice is for, and then the invoice date is when this invoice is created. There's a lot more fields that you can add. We're doing a pretty slimmed down version of NetSuite of an invoice here, but let's go ahead and test this now. And we're just going to update this to GPT billing demo and save this. And we're going to sync to Netsuite now. Wait for this to process. And it looks like everything went well, okay. So we have success. We can refresh this. And we're going to look for something that says GPT billing demo. Cool, that popped up. And we're going to view this invoice. We have an amount due of $56.65. And here's our line items of Ada and DaVinci language model usage with the quantity and rate that we had set. Thanks all.